The termination letter was still folded in his pocket when Daniel Reyes saw the old woman collapse against the bus stop bench, her grocery bag spilling oranges across the wet pavement, and he did not think twice before running toward a stranger while his own life was falling apart behind him. 3 hours earlier, he had been escorted out of the accounting firm where he'd worked for 6 years, accused of falsifying expense reports he had never touched. He had begged his supervisor to look closer, to check the timestamps, to see that someone else's fingerprints were all over the fraud. No one listened. He walked out with a cardboard box, a ruined reputation, and a 9-year-old daughter waiting for him at home who still believed her father could fix anything. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, in the idea that one good act can quietly change everything, hit like, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, share this with someone who needs it today, and subscribe to SoulTales, because this story is only getting started. Daniel knelt beside the woman on the cracked sidewalk. She was maybe 70, wrapped in a plain gray coat that had seen better decades, her hands trembling as she tried to gather her scattered groceries. He didn't ask questions. He simply gathered the oranges, steadied her elbow, and asked if she'd eaten today. She admitted, almost embarrassed, that she hadn't had a proper meal since morning. Something in her voice, tired, proud, alone, reminded him of his own mother, gone 5 years now, and he heard himself offering to walk her home, though he had $11 left in his wallet and a daughter to feed that same night. Her name was Eleanor. She lived 4 blocks away in a modest brick house that gave no hint of what she truly was. Daniel made her tea in her own kitchen, scrambled the last 2 eggs from her fridge, and sat with her at a small table while she ate slowly, watching him with sharp, assessing eyes that he mistook for simple gratitude. He talked to fill the silence, about his daughter Mia, about the job he'd just lost, about the injustice sitting like a stone in his chest. He hadn't meant to unload his troubles on a stranger, but Eleanor listened the way people rarely do anymore, without interrupting, without judgment, just quiet attention that made him feel, for the first time that day, like a person instead of a problem. What Daniel didn't know was that Eleanor Whitfield wasn't merely a lonely widow having a hard afternoon. She was the reclusive founder of Whitfield Holdings, a woman whose name could move markets, who had spent the last 2 years testing the character of strangers in disguise because she trusted numbers less than she trusted how people treated someone who could offer them nothing in return. She had walked past dozens of people that day. Daniel was the only one who stopped. He left her house that evening with nothing but her thanks and his own quiet relief that he had done one decent thing on the worst day of his year. He walked home to Mia, who hugged him tight and asked if he got his job back, and he lied and told her everything would be fine, because that is what fathers do when the truth is too heavy to hand to a child. The weeks that followed were brutal. Rent piled up. Interviews turned cold the moment his former employer's name came up. Mia started noticing the empty spaces in the refrigerator and stopped asking for things she used to want. Daniel lay awake most nights replaying the accusation, certain he knew who had set him up, a colleague named Peterson who had access to the same accounts and everything to gain from Daniel's downfall, but with no proof and no lawyer he could afford, his certainty meant nothing. Then, on a Tuesday that started like any other, a black car pulled up outside his apartment building, and a young woman in a tailored suit knocked on his door asking for Daniel Reyes by name. He assumed it was a collections agency. Instead, she introduced herself as Eleanor Whitfield's personal assistant and asked him to come with her, because Mrs. Whitfield wanted to see him. He sat across from Eleanor in an office so large it seemed to swallow sound, and for a moment he didn't recognize the sharp, composed woman behind the desk as the frail figure he'd fed eggs to weeks earlier. She told him plainly that she remembered every word he'd said that evening, including the name of the firm that fired him and the colleague he suspected. It turned out Whitfield Holdings quietly held a significant stake in that very accounting firm, and Eleanor, moved by the kindness of a man who had nothing left to give yet gave anyway, had ordered a discreet audit of the firm's books. The audit found what Daniel had insisted was true all along: falsified entries traced directly back to Peterson's login credentials, dates that lined up with Daniel's vacation days, a trail deliberately built to make an innocent man look guilty. Within a week, the firm issued a formal apology, reversed the termination, and Peterson was the one escorted out in a cardboard box. Daniel didn't ask for revenge. He only asked that the truth be put in writing, so that when Mia was old enough to understand, she would know her father had never lied to her about the kind of man he was. Eleanor didn't stop there. She offered him a position overseeing ethics compliance at one of her companies, telling him with a faint smile that she needed more people in the world who fed strangers instead of walking past them. Daniel wept in that glass office, not from the job or the money, but from the staggering realization that one small act of decency, given freely on the worst day of his life, had reached back and rebuilt everything he thought he'd lost. If this story moved something in you, if it reminded you that kindness is never wasted even when we can't see where it lands, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs a little hope today. It genuinely helps this channel keep telling stories like Daniel's. Before we go, we want to hear from you. If you have ever helped a stranger without expecting anything back, or if someone's small kindness once changed the course of your life, tell us about it in the comments below. Your story might be the reason someone else chooses to be kind today. Daniel now tells Mia the truth every night when he tucks her in, that the world is still full of good people, and that sometimes all it takes to change everything is choosing to stop, kneel down, and help someone up, because you never truly know whose life you're about to change, or whose life is about to change yours.